Welcome to the Steve and Bobby Show. My name is Steve Williams, and I'm here, of course, with Bobby Bliatu, my partner in crime. What's going on, Mr. Bliatu?
I like East Coast rap.
Oh, yeah, East Coast rap. Gotta tell you, hey, shout out to my boy out in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Steve Rodriguez, fellow Marine, gave me this shirt. Yeah, there's some East Coast, West Coast hip-hop on here. Arguments, long arguments.
But that's actually them. That's
That is
them on the
actually
shirt.
us.
That's not a record album cover. That's the shirt of these two fools arguing about East Coast, West Coast, Biggie, Tupac.
That's so true, too. It is. He had the shirt made. So peace out to Rod out there in Florida, man. I appreciate you.
Yep.
So let's talk. Oh, wait, before we even get into what we talk, because we're going to be talking about the census. There's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about on the census today because there's some important stuff going on. Rudy Giuliani getting raided today. Uh-oh, that don't look good. That don't look good. So y'all know about the Ukraine thing. I don't know, first impeachment, second impeachment. We all know it's the second impeachment for the Ukraine. So we all know about what's going on with that. And we'll probably, hopefully, we'll find out what it is exactly probably by next show. So we'll probably
Be surprised, whatever it is.
No, probably not. We already know what it's going to be. Yeah. But it's good to know because it's pretty important to we had one DOJ that just refused to do it because they were scared to bump heads with Trump and their boss. So they just pushed it to the side, and they left that case open. So that might be something to be just watching out for.
All the cases open.
Yeah, they all. Yeah.
You got the real Pizza Gates, right? That one was kind of left open.
Yeah.
I mean, we all knew the cast of cats that the guy had with him.
True.
They were all bad. We knew it now. You know, it's not that it's coming to light, that it's actually the books of law and everything are hitting it, right?
Yeah, so it's going to catch up. We were talking about this prior to the show airing today. Just, man, being outside, what are we in? April? What are we in April right now? April. We're in April right now, about to go in May. And, man, just sitting back looking at all this mess, it's just crazy. It's just crazy how we went through that 4 years and was able to go through it.
No, yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. And now we're trying to fix everything. We're trying to work, get stuff done, and not so much drama, which is why, like, now we can actually talk about real things.
Real things.
Real things. Some things that we tried to talk to you guys about before, right?
Yeah.
But today, also real things. Today, I got the ability to answer the phones if you guys call.
He didn't
we got a new phone number up here, 559-494-2827. We're going to try to get you guys in on it. Please call in. We'd love to hear from you as well.
Yep.
Let's have a conversation and talk. But, we did talk, and we put in the headline, in the title of the show.
That's right.
We told you so, right?
Told y'all.
We've been saying the census, guys. Mm-hmm. The census. It was very, very important to fill it out. It was very, very important to work with other folks to make sure that, you tell other people to fill it out, hopefully the CBOs and the government, all these different organizations working on the census, that the census would actually get counted. And we knew how difficult it would be with the pandemic.
That's right. And you have the other thing and the fact there are so many things where the census is so important.
Right.
It isn't just legislation. It isn't just that. There's a lot of other things that are involved when you're talking about the census. The census is a number count of every human being, not only the number count, the racial breakdown, population density, where people are moving. There is just so much involved in this. And me and Bobby, we express this continuously in the times that we've been doing this show of just how important this census is.
Right, because it's about the services that are brought to you, and if you don't have them right, you might not get the dollars that you need. I want you guys to take a look at this video and see how census count does impact a different place. So take a look here. I'm going to show them for you real quick.
Food packages loaded onto trucks outside Atlas Whole Food in Detroit. Their final destination? Family kitchens across Wayne County.
Food, by far, has been our #1 request. Food. Second is utilities, gas, electric, and lights. And then the third one is housing assistance.
Louis Pisker is the CEO of Wayne Metropolitan Community Action Agency. He says the agency usually helps up to 35,000 people each year. But with the pandemic, the need is great.
We're going to far exceed 150,000. We are a safety net. We provide services for our most vulnerable residents, such as Head Start, food and nutrition programming, job training, financial literacy programs, housing supports, homeless services.
75% of the money Wayne Metro uses to provide those services comes from the federal government. The census helps determine how much money the nonprofit gets. If you don't take the time to be counted, that could have our neighbors hurting.
If you take a family of four that makes under $40,000 a year, if that family has two children, they might not get Head Start services. If one of them loses their job and they need some help with their rent, the funding might not be available to help them stay in their home.
COVID relief funding has helped keep services going this year, but Pisker worries about the years ahead.
If those dollars go down due to the fact that we lose dollars based upon formulas because our population has been undercounted, that's going to have a devastating effect.
So one of the thousands of ways that the census affects even nonprofits, you know, federal, anything that's dealing with where you're dealing with federal money, dealing with even roads. I mean, there's just so much, and that's just a minute.
And guys, it always hurts the underserved, the underrepresented, the marginalized communities are always the ones that get hurt by this. Because, you know, like you saw, not enough funding will come out to these different folks, to the different groups. I mean, there are calculations to how much money comes to a county, how much money comes to a state when they do it. And that count happens every 10 years. So we're not going to get another count for another 10 years.
Yep.
You know, it's done. That's it, right?
Yep. That's it for another 10 years. And then you think of the, you know, here's the idea too. And Republicans are this is one thing they're very good at. They're very good at the minute little things like these that are actually really, really important, right? We always go, you know, we look at the turnhead moments, right? You know, the obvious, the sore thumb type things, the thing that's obvious, you know, the police brutality and some of those issues that are involved in that as well, right? That stuff is problematic. Yes, of course, we got, you know, the problems with law enforcement, all that. But this stuff here is absolutely just as important. Just as important as the situation that happened in Minnesota, but in a different way. You know what I mean? Just the effect of it is just, it's astronomical. And one thing, and we're going to show you in this next video, some of the things that Trump did, even within his administration, to actually try to change some of the outcomes of the way this census turned out. Take a look at this, and we'll talk about it on the other side here.
The president signed this memorandum that essentially says that undocumented immigrants cannot be included as part of the 2020 census. The title of this is an apportionment memorandum of ensuring American citizens receive proper representation in Congress. And so what the White House is saying is that giving congressional representation and political influence to undocumented immigrants, quote, would be a pervasion of our democratic principles. Now, this is obviously very controversial. We've seen a number of statements coming out opposing this. The ACLU says that it will see the president in court, so this is going to be legally challenged. And it's part of a broader effort by the White House to essentially make the president look proactive instead of reactive and defensive. And so he's going to be signing a number of executive orders in coming weeks. And White House expects that they will be challenged in court. So this is largely, you know, an election year play for the president. And immigration is obviously something that plays very well with his base. So we'll see more on immigration and as well as health care, according to the president in recent days.
So these were one of these hotbed issues, right? Yeah, you just throw immigrant in there and just...
Yeah, you'll get support, and you go, and the people will want to vote for you. You know, just throw some people under the bus, right?
That's it.
And you know what they call it, undocumented.
Undocumented.
The undocumented folks. So, you know, it was a question that was going to be on the census asking if you were a citizen at first. It's like, okay, you can have documents and not be a citizen. You are a resident, American resident here with real papers. You could be here on a visa. All of that is counted based on, you know, how long you're going to be here. You're working. You're paying your taxes. All of that counts. Why just go to citizen, right? We're glad that didn't go through, right? That stuff gets denied, and that, you know, as went through. That's what we fought about, though. While they put it out there, but if you put this on a census thing, if someone's going to answer, do you really think they're going to say, oh, no, I'm not here. I mean, I'm here without documentation.
Well, think of the time that he was doing this. Remember, he was doing ICE raids. He was raiding meat plants. He was...
So they, right.
This was a very So, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They were scaring people to not do the census because they knew that
There
it would
you go.
affect
To not do the census.
To not do the census.
It wasn't about finding out
Yep.
if people were undocumented.
That's right.
It wasn't about finding out how many citizens we have here to count. No, what it was about was to attack the areas and take the money from the areas that actually need it.
That's right.
Right? Because we scared them,
Yep.
right? The government scared them through all these ICE raids and showing up to schools, leaving kids,
Yeah.
without the parents, all terrible stuff.
People forget that, we have the where if the child's born here in the United States, he is a U.S. citizen if he's been birthed here in the U.S. So we have families, right, that have children that are American citizens, but parents that are not, who are not taking the census. So now the 2 children or 3 children, 4, whatever they have, they're not counted.
No, they're not even going to touch a census
Because
they're
the
scared.
parents are terrified.
Yep.
He
And
knew what he was doing.
Done. And so those neighborhoods don't get the money. They don't get the dollars.
Yep.
They don't get the dollars that they need for health care. They don't get the dollars. I mean, we talked about how important it was to be able to do this, look out and grab your stuff. So at that time, because everything was happening, take a look at the video because quickly they came out with this judgment.
And the Supreme Court tossed out a challenge to President Trump's bid to exclude undocumented immigrants from the census count. The justices said it was too soon to rule on the legality of Trump's plan because it's not yet clear how many people he would seek to exclude. There's also the question of whether the division of House seats would be affected.
So we were all happy. Yay, right?
Yay.
Yay. Yay. And then, but you know what? The damage was done, and then, COVID was happening, and
This census was undercounted, no doubt. And there was a lot of factors involved in that. The pandemic, and it was very targeted. The Trump administration knew exactly what they were doing with never, ever has, what do you call it? Immigration, a problem or an issue within asking questions. Because the census actually wants to know where every human being is in the country. That's the whole idea of the census. So it doesn't matter if you're someone from El Salvador or you're someone from the UK or someone from Canada. If you're living in the United States, the census is supposed to actually keep count of who's here
and why.
And why they're here.
Why? Why does it matter where they are? Is it because they want to tax you? They want to know?
No.
It's why.
Well, money allocation, right?
Right.
Because money comes from the federal government.
Representation there, yeah.
Money allocation. But the number one reason is probably because most individuals that they're targeting, they feel in their hearts are Democrats.
Right, that's why they did this attack.
Yes.
That's why they stopped wanting to slow down the census
Right.
and wanting to stop all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But the other reason why it's very important, and we've talked about this a lot, is representation. It's
yeah.
about your elected representative representing
yes.
who you are, which draws the district lines and where it goes. And so now we have come to the point where we've kind of got this total number and figuring out what's going on, and they've released those. So before we get into it, take a look at this video and we can have that large discussion while you guys call in too.
The U.S. Census Bureau announced on Monday that Texas, Florida, and North Carolina are among the states that will add congressional seats next year after releasing population data that reapportions members of the House of Representatives and Electoral College votes among the states. Texas will receive 2 congressional seats, and Florida, North Carolina, Colorado, Montana, and Oregon will all gain 1. But while the Census Bureau giveth, it also taketh away. The states that will lose a congressional seat are New York, California, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. The release of the data, which captured the entire U.S. population as of April 2020, sets the stage for a battle that could reshape political power in Washington over the next decade. The shift in seats to states such as Texas and Florida, where Republicans control the state houses, could be enough to erase Democrats' razor-thin majority in the House. As for the U.S. population, overall it stood at 331,449,281 as of April 2020, a 7.4% increase over the previous decade, according to the agency. Washington, D.C. grew by 14.6% to a population of close to 700,000,
D.C. residents are Americans.
Congressional Democrats have passed legislation to admit the District of Columbia as the 51st state, but Republicans oppose the measure.
So reality here, New York loses a seat, probably shouldn't have, because this was at the height of the pandemic, right? Probably people were all over the place in New York.
Yep.
All over the place. And the states that were open, of course, are going to do great because
People didn't want to go and do the people didn't want to do the census, or
Yep.
they didn't want to go out and ask about the census, knock on people's doors, and if you were inside, you didn't want to open the door
For somebody, yeah.
We even order Uber
Yeah.
or DoorDash or some food is delivered. You don't leave and then I'll come outside and get the food, right? Make sure it's all taken care of. At this particular time, it's crazy, and you know, Nate. Thank you for commenting, on there, just reminding us that, they did end the census early, right? And do it because, out of safety reasons, but we could not extend it. It's in the Constitution when it's got to be done.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's also important at the forefront of it, right? So,
Yeah, definitely.
California, a Democratic state, where we get a lot of stuff done because we have, our representation is huge in the House and Congress, right? Unfairly represented in the Senate, but that's a different story.
unfairly represented in the Senate.
But that's a different story. But now we lost seat. Texas takes 2, right? Florida gets 1. All these things happen. Is that a bad thing? I want to, call in, talk to us about this, because I think Steve and I might be on 2 different levels on this one.
Yeah, we are, actually. We are. I think, look, this is the way I look at things, okay? So, California loses a seat, Texas gains 2. Mm-hmm. The way my brain works, because this is just the way my brain works, we lost 3. Mm-hmm. Because California is predominantly blue state, deep blue state. It ain't never going to not be blue for a long time. Texas, in your favor, is probably considered a purple state. You got really liberal areas like bastion areas like Austin, Texas. You got San Antonio. You do have some liberal areas out there that are changing. North Carolina is probably another good point on yours too as well. North Carolina is turning purple because it's tech. A lot of tech is moving to North Carolina. So you got a lot of San Francisco individuals, San Jose and all those areas, Silicon Valley moving to North Carolina because of the tax incentives. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot going on there, and that's why North Carolina is purple. And in fact, to some degree, that's why Georgia was competitive. Tech. The South is really pushing tech. Detroit, Michigan, pushing tech. But it just scares me when we lose, California, especially we're 50 some odd electoral votes in general. And now California is losing population, and it's losing it to Texas. That's where they're moving, because there's a lot of companies probably in the last 5 years that have moved because of taxes to Texas. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is my thing on that because I live in this state. A lot of those companies probably didn't want to, and they were low-paying job companies anyway that Texas just loves. So that's okay. That's fine. Okay, that if they want to do that, those companies have a right to go anywhere they want. You know what I'm saying? It ain't going to hurt California that much because right now, California, when it comes to like green renewable energy market, like solar panels and windmill panels, we're making all that stuff. In fact, we're probably #1 in the world or at the same level as China right now in making renewable here. So we're opening new industries here that are more productive and for the future.
So why are you scared that Texas gets 2, we get 1? So if that puts us
in
3
my
behind,
mindset,
you think?
well, my mindset is we lost 3.
Okay.
That's my mindset because we're -1 in California. So I think we were at 54 electoral votes in California. We are now 53. Mm-hmm. Texas was, I think, 35 or 38 or something like that. Now they're either they're probably, I think, 35. Now they're 37 or whatever, 38, whatever. So to me, they gain 2, we lose 1. And in my mind, the way my mind works, that's 3 because Texas is a red state right now as we speak, and California's a blue state. That's the way I look. Now, we definitely pick up 1 in Oregon. Montana is pretty much a red state. Colorado is a pickup, but losing North Carolina, losing Florida is no longer, to me, a purple state. That's a red state. That state has turned on us. I don't know how we losing, but it's no tit for tat here. Losing New York, Pennsylvania's a blue state. Those are all that whole Rust Belt. Look, the whole Rust Belt lost. The entire Rust Belt. The entire Rust Belt. Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, all blue states lose. The ones that gain is Florida, North Carolina, Texas, and Montana.
To gain 2 states, they're going to get a population of two seats. Sorry, about 1.5 million,
per-
1.4 million
per.
So 700,000 per congressional right area. So they would have gotten around 1.4 million. And where did they go, to rural areas, you think, or did they move to
good question.
more metropolitan
would
areas
say
to
they
make it a little
probably-
bit more?
I'm thinking city.
Yeah, or turning small areas to big areas with city. You know what that does? It turns people more
Helps us-
democratic.
Well, I mean, that's what
no,
made-
it does. It's the normal thing.
Texas was 400. I think there were 400,000 votes. That was the difference in the presidential election. I know it was close. It was a
it might
lot
turn it
closer
blue.
than normal, huh?
It might turn it blue.
Might.
People don't like Ted Cruz no more, too.
We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But these things, man, are this is we told you so. How important this stuff is, and it's extremely important. The census is really important. I don't believe we got an accurate count in this census because of the pandemic and because of all the scare tactics that was being done by the previous administration with some of these things that they were doing with immigration, just the stuff they were doing. They did everything in there, and then they cut. Remember, they cut the census. Remember, they cut it. It was supposed to go all the way up to, I don't remember, October.
Ended early.
Yeah, they ended it early. Ended it almost a month early. 3 weeks and like 6 days or something like that. So they ended it almost an entire month early, which that hurts too as well. And they were saying this because people weren't opening their doors. They weren't. Yeah. And
I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you know, you're not planning for the pandemic to be right here at the census count.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we weren't prepared for it. The administration did some stuff to keep us from getting a full count. And the repercussions in that is the changed seats, all of the different things that happened. Those folks that moved to those other areas got counted, while here they're not getting counted. I mean, New York is popular. New York and California at that time had the worst, worst infection rates I think, in the country. And so people weren't going out. We were doing everything we could to keep people safe and away from other folks. It was, really frowned upon to go door knocking during that time.
Yeah, it was. And, I don't know, just these things, this census thing I knew was going to be problematic. Look, population shifts all the time. So this is the first time in California, since it's been a state, this is the first time ever it's actually declined in overall population as a state. First time ever. Okay, there's a lot of reasons behind that, a lot of factors behind that, okay? Remember, we have a lot of homelessness here that wasn't being able to be counted as well. And of course, we had a lot of people leaving the state, the immigration issue, all of that affected it. Before when this was done, I think it was Bush was the last time that this was done, he wanted an accurate count. He was very hands off on it. Let's get an accurate count. Let's find out where the population's at. Let's figure this junk out. Trump did not want to do that. He made the census completely political. It was all political. It was for political reasons.
Same with oppressive voting in Georgia. Same with everything that's going on with all the voter suppression. But I'm coming back to is it good or bad? Is it good or bad?
Good, the census?
You feel, the losing seats, right? Because we turned this to the political portion of it. I mean, it's always bad because we're not going to get the funding we need to take care of what we need to take care of in our communities, okay?
Right.
But when you come to voting and legislation and for legislation and voting, for what can happen in the House, right? Depends on if we have a majority or not, right? You want to have you want to have House, you want to have Senate, right? What if, even though we lost one seat, what if that means we gain 3 more blue seats in Congress?
We'll have to see how that irons out when they redo it. You said they're doing the.
So we should know by August.
They're carving out the new districts because remember too as well. I don't know if we mentioned it. You probably did. They carve out these districts different as well. These districts will not be the same. Okay, even the ones that are staying the same. There's different carves because even the way the populations are shifting within the state. So even within your state, how the population shifts determines on how these districts are being aligned and being drawn. So be aware of that as well. So, for example, say you live in Fresno and there's a cut right in the middle of Fresno because there's an even proportion of individuals on the west side as well as on the east side, right? Well, let's just say people from the west you had about 10% move to the east. Okay, well, that's a bigger portion of the population. So now they have to kind of draw the lines to fit that new demographic. That way, it's supposed to be evenly done.
Supposed to be, yeah.
Supposed to be
Yeah.
evenly represented. So they're supposed to carve these districts in that way. So keep in mind that as well. That's important to understand that as well, because not only losing seats is important, but you brought up a good point. It's going to carve these districts up a little bit different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we lost, in my mind, 14 seats because they gain and we lose. So in my mind, that's just the way I iron it out. But overall, the districts will be changed. So we'll have to see, are we going to gain seats? Like the point you brought, Texas gains 2 seats. Okay? From what I heard, Dallas and San Antonio are where the largest amount of the pot. So that means that those are going to be carved out. So that's a good point. So does Texas go from 13 Republican, 12 Democrats to 14 Democrats? Stay the same Republican. So that's a good point. So yeah, that's one way to look at it. If you're going to psychoanalyze it in that way,
it means a lot, actually. And I mean, that shift of 2 would cause House seats we can probably gain. If those 2 switch over, then that actually might be an electoral college gaining
72%.
40-something seats. So.
72% of the individuals in Texas, I heard this the other day on another show, 72% of the individuals that are moving into Texas are from California.
What could that mean?
And like 40-some-odd% was from the tech field.
Right. 40% tech field. You got from some folks that are here that are moving over there for oil,
Tire
for whatever it
companies.
is. And you know, the idea is that if it did change, if they took all the Democrats over there, then that changes the demographics over there. That seats the gain. That's a whole state you can actually flip.
Yeah.
Here, it's not flipping the state. Here, if the lines get redrawn, and then we might have better representation of those numbers where it's even, or we are a Democratic state, we might gain 3 more, 4 more,
depending upon how they draw
Democratic seats in this state. People like Devin Nunes and David Valadao and Kevin McCarthy or Tom McClintock might be gone.
Depending upon how they carve it.
That'd be good news, right, guys?
Yeah. So we told you all this census was extremely important. We told you guys that. Now we're seeing the repercussions of that, whether good or bad.
Call in, tell us. What do you think? Call in.
Whether good or bad.
At least one of you.
Yeah, 559-494-2827. Go ahead and call
decide
us.
with me, so I win.
Yeah, let us know. So I think when we're, like I say, when we're talking about these gaining and losing seats, the idea here was, and even when we were talking about then, of course, I mean, we're on this because it's a political issue and we're a political show, so that's important. But like we showed you on the first video, it has a lot to do other than just politics. It's funding. It's just the way help comes in from the federal government, because then the federal government knows where the help needs to be going. It has an idea of where its population is. Within that population, who needs help?
Right.
The census helped Ohio. When Ohio was losing a lot of its industry and it was going to China, the census of that time understood that, recalibrated that, knew that a lot of its resources were going to need to be into Ohio, and they did. They did some changes. The federal government did some changes to salvage that state. And there was a lot of things. Yeah, it hurt. I mean, Columbus and some of these places in Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, was really hurt. But if there was no federal government, probably looked like Somalia.
No, I mean, you think about it. The amount of money, the taxes that we pay into the federal government as a state in California, with this happening, with us being undercounted, but I'm pretty sure we still pay more taxes. It's going to show a return where we're going to be paying more share in this country, in California, than most other states, than what gets returned back to us.
For every dollar we spend here in the United States, we're only getting 58 cents in return. I mean, not in the United States. For every dollar that's spent, that we give to the federal government, in California, state of California gives to the federal government, we are only getting 58 cents in return. That includes the military bases that are here. And we have some pretty big, I mean, the whole 1st Marine Division's here. I mean, you're talking 100, or I don't know how many thousands of Marines in San Diego. You've got the 1st Naval Fleet that's out in San Diego as well. there's a lot. You got Fort Irwin, you got huge Army bases out here. That includes that. So the federal money that's coming here, so for every dollar, we're only getting 58 cents back.
Right. So depending on the programs and what legislation is put out there, that determines what comes here to help, and not even just help, but like it's coming out of our pocket.
Yep.
Right. This is what's going on, and it's crazy. We're a blue state. We're Democrats. We believe in to help out and work for the marginalized communities because there should be a safety net to pick you up when something happens in your life that's beyond your control, and if it is in your control, a mistake that you made, whatever it is, right. Everyone, we're going to help pick you up, and you're going to help pick me up, and it's all going to be that. I've been through it in my life. You've been through it in your life.
That's right.
That's how it should be. But yet, we're the state that really, really believes in that. And there are other states as well. But then there's states that are just completely red, that don't believe in any of that stuff. And they put in $1, and they get like $8 back.
Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas.
Yeah. And it goes to their to those other communities, but they complain about it, but they get the majority of it.
Yeah.
They don't produce the money because it just doesn't make sense.
California is the 5th largest GDP. If it was its own country, it would be the 5th largest. Or 6th.
6th largest economy in the.
Right around there. We float all the time, 5th and 6th. GDP in the world, if we were by ourselves. I mean, we make a lot of stuff. We're very large. We're 40 million people in this state. 38 million, whatever it is. There's a lot of people in this state. We make a lot of stuff. And that's why California is such an important state. I mean, usually what happens here in California kind of happens throughout the country. We started here, we try it here. It's revolutionary. Seatbelts for cars, insurance for cars. All of that started here. It starts here. And everybody, it's oh my God, it's the liberals coming after you. And then after a while, you're like, well, yeah, that did kind of work.
Let me use this liberal idea. Let me get this other liberal idea. Let me do all of these things. But what I got to pay for it? I don't want to pay for it. I want it for free.
I know there's a lot of people that tax is a big thing. And, every time I talk to somebody about California, it's the first thing that come out their mouth. Man, how you live over there? It's too expensive. Too much taxes. Well, I lived in Missouri. I lived in the state of Missouri. That's as red as it gets when it comes to a state. And let me tell you something. They had higher taxes than we had here.
Yeah, really?
Definitely.
What it feels like.
Not feels like. Go ahead and look. Every single year, especially in car tax, they charge you GWV, which is the gross weight of the vehicle. So if you got like a SUV, like I had a Tahoe, I bought my Tahoe there. It was $7,800 to register the vehicle there. I got to register it here. It was $4,200.
Because it came from here, probably.
No. Actually, the truck was made in Texas. It was assembled in Texas. And we're over here clowning on Texas. Yeah, so I don't know. These things are important. The census is important. We told y'all.
Yeah.
We told y'all that this census, it was going to come back and bite us. But that's okay. We'll see. We'll test Bobby's theory here, because Bobby thinks that this could be somewhat of a good deal, depending upon how this is.
It's got to be.
It's
got to be. We got to gain it over there. We're going to gain it here. We'll see how the people react and how what the people do. But it's a bad thing that folks weren't counted. But the loss of seats and where it went, it just depends on who moved and where they moved to. Hey, if you're scared that the liberals are coming at you, California's moved over there. California's moved. We're coming after you. No, just
we're coming over there. We're moving over there.
Yeah.
To be fair, me and Camille have looked at houses, and it's very enticing sometimes when you go and you look at a house, say in Texas, and you go, oh man, for what we pay for our house, I could get a house like that in Texas. So. Yeah, sometimes it can be enticing, but I don't like all that desert, and it takes me all day to go through Texas. So
does it?
Man, I've drove through Texas so many times I can't tell you.
It takes all day to go through California.
Yeah, if you're going north
from
south
San Diego
north to south. But if I'm going east or west to east,
you still got to go south. We're in Fresno, California. Las Vegas is like east of us.
That's true. We got to go around.
I got to go south and come back up.
We got to go around the Sierra Nevadas. Yeah, that's
the airplane ride is like 45 minutes, but the car ride is like 6 hours.
Yeah. Well, Las Vegas is right over the hill.
Right now, it's just over the hill. We can't drive.
But we got to go around. But anyway, so I don't know. What do you think, man? I don't know.
No, we're gonna see.
You're trying to have me look at this a different way.
I owed you a quarter for losing. I thought Trump was going to resign. And then
we're going to see
after this ridiculous thing.
I think he
and the next
election,
we'll see it. Yeah.
Oh, well, anyway.
Still waiting for him to go to jail.
Yeah. So the way
Giuliani, go bye-bye.
That's what I was gonna say. We started our show with telling y'all, but because I didn't know enough about the Rudy Giuliani thing of what's going on, because it was kind of breaking, so they, I guess they raided his luxury apartment that he makes on that Trump salary. You know what's crazy to think about this guy? I think of 9/11. Think of 9/11. Put your mind back to 9/11 when Rudy Giuliani was mayor. No, yeah, he was mayor at that time.
New York?
Mayor of New York. He was mayor of New York, and how he was called America's mayor.
America's mayor.
America's mayor. He was considered America's mayor. And
Hey, Pete, we got a
you
caller.
know, people were respecting him. People were like, okay, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah. So we got a caller right at the end of the show. Who is this?
Oh, this is Jose speaking.
Hey, Jose, thank you for watching. What's on your mind?
Hey, you guys were talking about the Giuliani thing?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, never forget that he did for record.
Love it.
I just couldn't help
Love it.
Did you say he farted in court? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, when he was presenting a crappy case.
Yeah. And what's always coming out of his mouth, right? Oh, jeez.
Oh, leave it to Jose, man. Leave it to Jose to come with that one, man. You out there in New York, right, Jose?
Yeah, NYC.
What's the buzz out there, man? Tell me what's the buzz with your mayor of the year.
Man, I don't even know.
It's okay. We're going to be honest out here. It's
all,
fine.
all I know is they made weed legal.
Oh,
Yeah.
so weed is legal out there?
Yeah. And then they dropped the immunity for cops.
Oh, that's a big one. That passed the city. That passed.
No, the whole city. Because state of the city, I can't. Oh,
So it passed then.
yeah. Oh, no. You know what?
You don't have to yell,
Hold on,
Steve.
I want to get too ahead of myself. Yeah. But the weed thing, definitely, weed is legal out there.
Yeah, so
I think there may be less fights in the street once they like promoted it.
So what do you think about losing a seat out there? We got this thing going on. Does it matter? Did they even get to you about the census? Did your family, everyone, like get to it, or did they skip it, or what?
It's just so much that I don't know if it makes a difference. You know, it's like what I wanted to say about Giuliani. I don't think he's going to prison, right?
Right.
But if
I
he
mean,
does, I just couldn't get the image out of my head that he might end up being stuck that some of the mafia that he destroyed with the RICO law.
yeah.
And I just can't help but think there's one guy waiting for him at the gate going, "Hey, we heard you coming over here. Hey, Rudy, we got a Peter Pan we want you to talk to you before you get yourself transitioned to in prison."
You know, some people may wish for that, but we've seen how it works, man.
Oh,
People
he
like
goes to
Rudy
celebrity
Giuliani,
prison.
yeah, people like Rudy Giuliani, they go to some kind of prison where they get to, be in. I mean, what Epstein was able to go
Not Epstein.
in and out? No, in the beginning, Cohen went to a Jewish
Cohen
prison.
went to a Jewish prison.
You know, so Giuliani, I don't know where he's gonna go. I mean, I'm sure
our Italian
he's
prison.
got some kind of prison that's special for him, that you know where he can't get beat up by some of those people that he messed
in
over.
the
and-
80s, yeah, all those mob guys.
So, I mean, going to prison just means he doesn't get a luxury apartment.
Well, the ones that are still alive. The ones that are still alive. You know.
Yeah.
It goes back 30, 40 years ago.
Yep.
So there's not too much buzz going on, Jose, out there in New York about this raid going on in Rudy Giuliani apartment.
No, people are just wondering how to dress up for what weather. Because we look like each season with an 8-hour period. It rains, it snows, next thing you know it's summer, then it's winter again.
Yeah.
That's like within the first 4 hours. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's climate change, though. That's what people got to realize. That's what we mean by climate change.
Yeah, it's that climate change where you got a couple of the guys dressed up like in a full sweat outfit with a skull cap and his girlfriend's in shorts.
Just holding on for that one moment. Just holding on for that one moment when it's hot.
And,
Hey,
and then, they're talking in July they might hold mass to 6 foot distancing, social distancing.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's what they're saying. Who
well,
knows?
you guys are right behind us. I think you guys made it sound like 2 weeks ago when I looked, about 15 on the mark of the states that from us. But yeah, our governor has us going. Actually, wants to open by June 15th, completely open. Yeah.
But one thing, we got Andrew Yang running all over the place, trying to be mayor.
he wants to be mayor. Yeah,
How's
that's
he
right.
doing out
Yeah.
there?
Well, he's being received well by
Yeah?
places.
What do you think about him?
So, I mean, he's young, which is a good thing, because I think we need young people running the country now. You know, and the 80-year-old white dudes, they're out of style. Hopefully Biden is not. Yes, we young people.
You didn't like Biden either, huh?
No, I got nothing against Biden. I just like when Biden talks about another person, he goes, hey, this guy. That means you can't kiss with guy.
That's
What's
that
the
East
question?
Coast, man. You recognize that East Coast in him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's from Delaware, man.
Before I go, I wanted, but is there any chance that Alexandra or Ocasio-Cortez is going to call you guys?
We could try to reach out to. We haven't made an effort yet, but we'll try.
All right, if you do, just let me know what she says about me.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, have a good night.
All right, man. I'll catch
take
you.
care.
Thanks for calling in.
Thank you very much. That's good. That's good. I mean, good comedy here, East Coast, West Coast, all this stuff
it.
going on.
That's it.
You guys, this is a country of diversity, and we need to build policies that include people. We need inclusion. We need unity. We need real opportunity and equity. We won't get any of that when we're talking about the census if we don't fill those things out, if we don't do it. So what's done is done. We got another 10 years, and what we're going to hope for now is that the representation that is built works hard enough to ensure that we are all taken care of, that we are all, and when I say taken care of, meaning that we are all treated equal, right? I mean, I'm not asking for someone to take care of me that way, but, government responsibilities to ensure that, those laws and the things that are there are carried out, and we all have that opportunity equally amongst each other that we get to get things done. And that's what
Everybody
matters.
wants a fair shot.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a fair shot. Everybody. So the idea here is, even with the census, even with when we're talking about police brutality, when we're talking about distribution of funds, when we're talking about how someone is treated in a school or at work or wherever, everybody just wants to be treated equally and fairly. That's it. Everybody. Okay, that includes our Asian communities, our Muslim communities, our Arab communities, our Black communities, our Hispanic community, all of them.
Yep.
All of them. Everybody wants equality, because when you go down to the person level and you talk to each individual, they're not going to want very much different than what you want. Maybe the drive is a little bit different. Maybe you want education. It's going to boil down to you want to provide for you and your family, and that's it. That's what it really boils down to.
Yep, and that's, these systems are in place for you to take action. Vote. We're not asking anybody to go out there and scream and yell or do a show like what we're doing, but you can vote. You can fill out the census. You're going to work. You're paying your taxes. You're doing all of those things and working within the system. And if everyone does all the little pieces of it, then you know what?
Or be part of the process.
Right.
Be part of the process.
There's changes to be made, but
Sit on a city board.
Do it.
Be on the commission. What's the other one? At the city level.
Right, being elected though.
Elected,
right?
yeah.
Are you mean be elected or just volunteering for stuff?
No, the board of supervisors or the.
Yeah, that's all election stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, election stuff.
Yeah.
Run for something locally, because all politics is local, all of it.
School board, representation is powerful. Seeing people that look like you, talk like you, believe like you. It doesn't, it brings power to know that that's possible for folks. And we've been breaking a lot of ground, and we, meaning Americans, have been breaking a lot of ground and learning a lot. This country is learning. We're not perfect yet, and we may never be perfect, but it doesn't mean that we don't stop trying to be as best as we can.
I had a friend of mine. I'm gonna read this because I think this is absolutely fantastic. I talk to a lot of people from all over the world, all the time. I have friends from you name it. I have friends there that we boil down and we talk to. I had a friend of mine that sent me this. He's from Germany. So we've been friends for a long time, very long time. And we've been going back and forth, and he kind of talked when the COVID situations first started. He actually went to school here in the United States and ended up going back to Germany, where he's from originally. And this is what he wrote to me today, because I want to share this, because I kind of asked him earlier if I could. So he said, "I'm very happy for you, Steve, and all Americans, because for the last 2 weeks you have practically nothing to read about Trump, Republicans, or etc. You also are making extremely fast progress with the vaccination. We Germans are way behind you. Believe it or not, a year ago, we laughed at the USA with your clown in the White House. Now, after just 100 days of Biden, things seem to have turned completely around. Even if there's definitely still a lot to do, it's a little surprising how quickly and most importantly, how much President Biden is doing. I very much hope that it will continue like this. Best regards to you and your family from distant Germany." I get stuff like that all the time. Gives me goosebumps thinking of that kind of stuff, because that is the different. These are people from another country, whole different country, on how they were looking. This is what I tell a lot of Trump supporters, just how ridiculous Trump looked to the world.
Right.
Now, I know that's not a big deal to maybe a lot of Americans, but representation is very important. If the United States is being represented poorly throughout the world, okay, that reception is going to look poorly throughout the world.
And no one wants to do business with someone they don't trust. How are you going to have diplomacy? We saw how diplomacy fell apart during the Trump era. But, not so much talking about what he did wrong. It's like we're dealing with the repercussions now. And what I appreciate and what your friend had said was that there's no drama, no stories about no
talked
drama.
about it today.
Yeah, nothing dramatic going
brought
on.
that in today.
We're actually doing work. We're actually getting things done. In Fresno County here, we've done like over 680,000 vaccinations. Like 230,000 that are residents that have been fully vaccinated twice, right? So that 2 shots and about 100,000 are waiting for their second doses of those residences. We are moving and doing as best as we can in these states, and when we accept that this is here and it's not political, things can happen. You see, all these people were saying, "Oh, the mask is taking away your speech." The people are still doing that. So what use is it to take away your speech for a couple of months? No, it was really, or even if it's a year, it wasn't taking away speech. It wasn't doing anything. It was to protect you, because as this pandemic is over, less infected, you notice that those rules are being lifted. We just said on June 15th is the plan for us here in California to fully open. We've already in this city, have already said you can go, it's okay to be outdoors without masks, and even in closed facilities. If you're with people, a little gathering, that's okay. If you've been vaccinated, you know what's going on. We're changing the rules up here because we're starting to be more comfortable as a community, as a group, and being more safe. And so, that's the good things that are happening when we stop paying attention to the media debacles and clowns and circus, It
was horrible.
And get things done. Yeah.
It was horrific. I mean, really, really horrific. And I'm telling you, I've talked to people all over the world. And I had people they were like, what is going on?
Yeah.
They were scared. They were terrified. I mean, the United States is a very, 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 very powerful nation. I mean, we have literally 4 fleets, thousands of and when you think that there's someone that's tyrannical in the head of that, the amount of damage that someone at that level could do, and what people were really shocked overseas more than anything, with a lot of people that I talked to, the biggest thing that they were shocked to was that Americans would actually elect someone like that.
Yeah.
That was the thing that mostly shocked them.
Yeah, the framers of the Constitution probably thought the same thing too.
Probably rolling in their graves right now, going, "Wait a minute!
We put all these protections in place, really?"
But you know what,
Really?
though? But in that regard, there were some. We literally almost went. It's almost like the army was at the wall, right? But they were there, and there were some safeguards that were able to stop a lot of things.
Kanye West was going to run for president, went for vice president, okay? I mean, that's where we were in this nation. Come on.
He got like 100,000 votes.
Come on. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's insane to see us get carried away that way.
Yeah.
And we are trying to turn around.
Yeah.
And when you had that debacle, it ruined the census. And so we can answer the question again for Bobby that just asked, You know, what happens to the thousands of the poor minorities? We struggle more. We said earlier.
Yeah.
You know, through these actions, it's always the underserved, the marginalized communities that suffer the most.
Yep.
Because the resources that are needed are not there. And you continue this cycle of poverty when the resources aren't there, and they're there for the wealthy. You know, the folks who don't need it are getting it. It's not that I want to take it away. It's just that, come on, you know?
Yeah, and probably Bobby wasn't here for when we actually mentioned this, Bobby. We actually got into great detail on the fact of minorities and how that affects us. But we put it in broader terms because it's not just minorities. When it affects minorities, it actually it's going to affect all of the underserved, underrepresented.
Which generally aren't.
Generally, right? Yeah. I mean, it's going to affect the poor, all the poor. There's poor white folks too. There's poor white folks too. It's going to affect them. A lot of them vote against their own. I mean, we talk about this a million times, but it affects them as well. And so everybody on the bottom half gets affected when the census is enacted.
Right. Maybe billions of dollars for this whole state of California,
Schools.
for marginalized communities, for small communities, rural areas, especially here in California where our rural areas here in the Central Valley are like largely Democratic. They are going to suffer too. I mean, that's millions of dollars that could have come to a city that did not get counted because of interference from this administration. You know, those are things that we'll have to take care of and change. And my bet is that, you know, I'm hoping that even losing that seat that is going to be able to gain us other seats where we're going to overturn some other elections. And hopefully we overturn some other elections in Texas where it flips instead of, you know, they already had Texas anyway, getting 2 electoral votes. We get all of it. You know, so it comes over our way.
We need to find out what 2 seats get gained in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
What state or what gets gained in Florida? Because if they do get, I mean, it's going to hurt us on the electoral side.
I mean, if Austin gained more seats, come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, if you think there was a lot of people that went, those were the 2 big cities, Austin or Dallas, and actually it was Dallas and San Antonio were the real big ones. So, I mean, those are blue cities.
Yeah, and if those are the cities that gain seats,
it makes them more powerful.
Might take all of Texas.
Yeah. So, we have to see what that outcome happens. Well, anyway,
Thank you for calling in. Thank you for answering. Asking questions here, participating. We'd love to have that. Thank you for watching. You got anything, Steve?
No, like I say, we're going to be doing this every week. We're going to be tuning in. That's 559-494-2827 number. We're going to start trying to interconnect with our audience, try to talk with people that are out there, and try to discuss some things at a more personable level. So we can kind of, you guys tell us what's on your mind. You tell us what's on your mind. If you guys call in, it'll be up to you as long as there ain't no cussing and no craziness.
Well, we got to try to get Congress member Cortez on Cortez on the show too, right?
And she does do smaller podcasts like ours would be. She does do them. She does. So it's not like she doesn't. I've seen her on hundreds of podcasts where she's, where she does go. She is a grassroots person. She's just hard to contact because so many people.
She's busy. She's working.
She's working. She's over there yelling at.
She's working. But that's what you need is people to work. And you should be hard to reach because people are communicating to you and doing all that stuff. You should not be absent. And it's not that she's absent. She's working.
Yeah, so. We've had some pretty big guests here. I mean, we've talked to heads of the state parties here. We talked to all kind of people, especially local. So we try to reach out to these people.
We can't get Nunez or anything on our show.
Nunez won't go to our show. I don't know why.
He don't even come to the state. He don't even come to the state. Really.
Yeah, that's right. He goes to Oklahoma. He's out in Oklahoma.
Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you guys on the other side.
Thank you guys.